My child, stop everything now and pay attention, because I have something to say that can't wait. It's not only that you survived that storm. Fire was meant to kill you, and you walked through it. You're still standing here, though. Your suffering was seen by heaven. Hell made every effort to break you. Observers assumed you would pass out from the strain of all that suffering. I did see you pick me, though. Even when it was difficult, unpopular, and your entire being begged you to give up, you persisted. With broken strength and hidden tears, you fought. You passed as a result of your decision to stay when all the signs were for you to leave. I need more from you now than merely to survive, though. I need your undivided attention now more than ever. Even though you have passed the challenge, the risk still exists. No, the most deadly trap actually starts at this point. The appearance of tranquility, the coziness of festivities. The last difficulty was the deception at the test. Tonight is when the real war begins, my darling. You've just advanced to a new level. Furthermore, that level necessitates more focus, clarity, and acute judgment. You cannot afford to fall into a rut or unwind in your comfort zone. It is a sacred moment. It will be a challenging season, but I have picked you for it. You could lose everything I have been training you to carry if you are distracted at this hour, which is why I am speaking quickly. Some may argue that you should now take a break, but I'm saying, get up, since your death wasn't a conclusion. It was the start. A new burden of grandeur is on its way to you. But with power comes accountability, combat, and the requirement that you pay close attention to everything I say. I won't yell above the din of your cozy surroundings. I'll mutter instructions in silence. Additionally, you will miss it if your thoughts are elsewhere. Therefore, cease doing anything that doesn't fit with my spirit. I'm not only talking, so give me your whole focus. You've got to move with me because I'm moving. I've already confirmed this. Now is not the time to doubt, second guess, or delay. You're going to have to be a different version of yourself in this new environment. Not the person who barely survived, but the one who understands that they were carried by grace for a reason. You need to be alert and fighting, but you won't fight alone. Everything is different tonight. When the real combat starts, I need you to be vigilant, prepared, and in sync with my voice. Not only a survivor you are the soldier I have selected, and those who do more than simply listen, those who obey, own this fight. So, put an end to everything, prepare yourself, and look at me. Now, I want you to comprehend something. It was never intended for the anguish you believe to be your breaking point to end your life. It was designed with the intention of molding your underdeveloped inner self. I sowed something immortal within you every time you cried at the thought that it was finished. You were standing on the precipice of despair. The foundation that I was strengthening beneath the surface, however, was invisible to you. The trembling, the loneliness, the loss. Nothing happened by accident. Every broken hope, every shut door, and every betrayal was being used to fortify you for what I had planned next. I called what others viewed as failure formation. The removal of voices that would have misrepresented my orders in the following phase was what appeared to be abandonment. I was teaching your soul to discern without seeking approval from the masses, which is what appeared to be my quiet. Despite not seeing the prize at the end of the dim hallway, you continue to move forward. Even in my bewilderment, I have opened what no man can close because of that obedience. But I tell you, kid, don't turn around. I have already cured you. Don't do it again. Keep your mind off how he felt and how long it took. Seasons had their function, and now they must be abandoned. You can't follow those weights where I'm heading you. Your identity was not created by other people's praise. It was created in secret locations where I was the only one who welcomed your footsteps. It wasn't death you were walking into. Development was the term. And you must carry what I have placed in you with sacred assurance, not self-doubt, now that the time has come. Your super thanks is more than just a gift. It is a declaration that you trust in my provision, and that you will help spread my word to those who are lost and searching. I'm not bringing you up to be a relic of what you were heard. Now, I'm letting you experience what I've long been waiting for. Divine mandates, humility-wrapped influence, and doors that remain sealed until this precise moment. However, they are not available to accommodate your comfort. Since you're at last prepared to enter as the person I claimed you were all along, they are open. You'll discover why I postponed your prayer shortly. It wasn't penalized. Time was of the essence. This was the strength you needed. You required this clarification. It was also necessary to cut off your connection to anything that would have undermined your purpose. The chapter that felt like devastation was actually construction, so keep that in mind. And now that you've been constructed at the hidden location, I'll disclose you there. However, maintain your humility. I didn't send it, so don't chase it. Avoid grabbing what I took away. Keep your posture straight. Remain in alignment. As it turns out, what appeared to be the end is actually the beginning of greatness. Those who merely saw the surface of your struggle have misidentified, misinterpreted, and even underestimated you. Although they saw the difficulties, they were never able to identify the change. But I did. I wasn't paying attention to the visible manifestation of your suffering. I was preoccupied with the internal change that was taking place inside of you. They observed someone under duress, but what I saw was a refined fighter. What they characterized as being weak was the exact setting I was utilizing to bolster your judgment, your power, and your closeness to me. It was never merely a test. It served as destiny's training field. The distinction between who you were and who I have cultivated you into is now being made tonight. I am walking you over that invisible line with a finality that declares, the old things have gone. I am entering your present. You're not being prepped anymore. We're positioning you. You aren't learning to hear me anymore. You are now tasked with sharing what I have disclosed. Not all of the wilderness's weight was in vain. It created something in you that is necessary for the upcoming season. It's not a survival celebration tonight. A proclamation of activation is what it is. What you went through wasn't arbitrary. It was right on. I counted each second. Every predator was measured by me. And I was really accurate in timing this moment. Because it all comes down to tonight. You will no longer move as someone looking for approval, but rather as someone with authority. You won't be going back to the same places. I've got a new task for you to complete, and your presence will break patterns that have been too long hidden in the shadows. However, you should be mindful that many people won't recognize this version of you. Some people won't know how to react because they didn't anticipate your ascension. Don't worry about that. You could defend yourself in the spotlight, but I didn't prepare you in the shadows. Your words don't give you power. It is found in the mantle you wear. Even if you enter a room quietly, you will sense it. You'll hear chains rattling. It will cause eyes to turn and hearts to begin to stir. because of the Spirit that rests upon you, not because of you. This is the pivotal moment I've been planning all along. Don't search the natural world for indications. You sense it in your soul. This is a heavenly assignment that cannot be postponed by fear or interrupted by viewpoints. At the start of this fire, you were someone else. In the ashes of your obedience, aversion has been laid to rest. Purification-driven purpose is what emerges at this point. You must have faith in what I have placed within you. Never doubt it, never support it, and never reduce it. You were trained to withstand pressure so that you wouldn't buckle beneath the weight of what I'm releasing when you reach this pivot. You gave up. Thus, you passed the test. Walk into this curve now, keeping your eyes on me. The decisions you make in private are where the true conflict starts, not the conflict going on around you. The silent assent, the quiet obedience, the little steps that no one cheers for will choose the winners there. This isn't merely a seasonal shift. Starting tonight, there will be a change in the spirit world. When no one is looking, the spiritual realm has a weight that comes from endurance rather than accolades or titles. And now that weight is on you, my child. The purpose of what you went through was never to simply survive. It was set up to be approved. There were times when you assumed the quiet meant that you were not there, but I was closer than your breath, keeping an eye on every answer, gauging the position of your heart when the replies didn't come, and heaven was recording. It was praised in the courts of splendor what man did not honor. Heaven documented what the earth rejected. The angels started to stand in awe of your perseverance the instant you decided to believe, even though you had no evidence, and to worship even though everything within you was collapsing. And you're carrying the aroma of someone who has been tried and found, not wanting, now that you've passed. The scent you exude agitates the adversary and attracts my attention. I put oil inside of you, and the fire that attempted to burn you has just stoked it. At this point, you move like an unquenchable flame. You succeeded because you didn't compromise your goals for ease. And that choice has changed the environment around you. Your elevation in invisible realms has been marked by a divine marking and a supernatural declaration in the heavens. The goal of this elevation is not to be noticed or honored. It concerns accountability. This gives you the power to talk into spaces that others are too injured to enter. You will enter places that used to oppress you, and this time you will change them. The defense is over for you. Weapons that only the refined can use have been given to you. However, this weight also brings visibility, and visibility brings resistance. Don't be surprised if those who used to ignore you now start to do so. They aren't attracted to your character. It's the oil that's making them react. This is the reason I let some people out of your life earlier. They couldn't accompany you into the area I've now given you responsibility over. Some people might attempt to reattach. However, pay close attention. I will demonstrate for you who is devoted to your purpose and who is merely concerned with your comfort. Don't mistake familiarity for allegiance. Only when you remain silent can some feel safe near you. Now that your voice has strength, though, they will sense the distance before you even say a word. Avoid being distracted by that. Focus on the task at hand. The stars have moved in your direction. That change necessitates movement. I am delivering individuals to you, those who prayed for someone with your voice to be heard. They were as hidden as you were. Your compliance is now a requirement for their release. Don't downplay how important your yes is. You believe you won a private trial, but in reality, you are eligible for a public hearing. There's no explanation for what will happen next. It will be made public, and you'll have these words in mind as it starts. You didn't make it through for yourself. Because your breakthrough was linked to theirs, you were able to pass. Now walk with intention, for heaven is observing, and the world will soon experience the consequences. Many people never make it through what you have. I must call your attention to what is ahead, even while others exhale with relief at their survival. Considering that the fight has only recently changed form. The exterior storm you survived was just the beginning. The fight that is more dangerous and covert is about to begin. Not where you've gone, but what you carry is the aim. Recovery is no longer the main focus. It has to do with destiny. Because you were not consumed by the fire, the enemy remained interested. He's upset that you weren't deterred. You've entered the realm of spiritual promotion. Thus, his strategies need to change. Your name, comfort, or reputation are not at stake in this conflict. The same thing I created in you before the earth was even built is being directly attacked. Your reason, the kingdom of darkness, is more in danger from the weight of your assignment than it was from your survival. Hell has changed its tactics to disrupt your calling rather than take your breath. Furthermore, there won't always be overt opposition. It will occasionally appear disguised as a diversion. It can occasionally feel like perplexity, exhaustion, or even success that gradually takes your focus away from me. I, therefore, need your attention now more than ever. You have to defend your triumph now that you've passed the test. The ground you just took needs to be protected. Whispers will try to persuade you to shrink once more, to revert to the smaller form of yourself that was under the influence of others. Subtle offers of compromise will be made, not all at once, but gradually in small doses, cloaked in coziness, rationalized by fear and wrapped in warmth. Hear me out, though. The mission cannot be compromised. It cannot be diluted in order to gain acceptance. Delaying it won't make you feel safe. Furthermore, you can't give it to someone who didn't go through the same hardships as you to achieve it. It will be an internal conflict. It will compete for your attention, priorities, and choices. You'll be tempted to keep up the appearance of innovation while secretly letting go of the burden of compliance. Avoid falling for that. You weren't saved by me to gain popularity. I brought you up to be a threat to the dark. From this point on, every action you take has spiritual resonance. The momentum I've put on your life now depends on the decisions you make. Distractions will therefore become more intense. For this reason, even when everything appears to be calm on the surface, you could experience an odd pressure. Because battle comes the awakening of purpose. You are now a danger, not because of your voice, but because of what your obedience will open. I'm alerting you in advance because of this. Keep an eye out. You are not outside the larger fight. You don't agree with what I said above your head. The opponent will attempt to persuade you to surrender if he is unable to kill you. He'll make use of fatigue. He'll wait. He'll take advantage of the views of others who haven't witnessed your procedure. But you have to stay grounded. Recall what I told you in the hidden location. Remember what I said while no one else was around. Protect the bad guy. Put a flame out of it. Shield it from the doubtful breezes, from the chill of waiting, and the desire to compromise my declaration. The time to coast is not now. Now is the time to move forward. You've been given more than just survival instinct. even though the conflict is now more crafty. Your kingdom strategy has been given to you. Don't let comfort get to you. The true battle, which starts right now, is for your cause. Listen carefully now, kid. You have to cling firmly to this reality. The opposition that is increasing around you is a confirmation of your elevation rather than a sign of weakness. There will be conflict as you enter a world of favor. Because of your mistake, you did draw this new degree of hostility. It's not that you made a mistake that led to the attack. The opposite is true. You paid the price for obeying me. When others gave up, you continued to move, and now exposure has resulted from your obedience. You now pose a threat to the very forces that formerly ignored you. There are people watching you who have never given a damn before. There are people criticizing you who haven't even heard of your name yet. And it's not because they know why you're doing it. It's because they sense how you're changing the mood. Darkness, you know, can tell when one of my children has survived a fire and emerged sharper. The adversary doesn't hold off on attacking till you're well known. He hits as soon as he thinks you're a threat, and you start to pose a threat because of your line and my will, not because of material might. Now you move differently. You have a plan for your steps. Your quiet does the talking. What has been concealed is disturbed by your presence, and as a result, opposition is unavoidable. Don't be upset about it. It has nothing to do with you. What you carry matters. You speak the truth fearlessly, the light that is unblinking. Enemies will appear no matter how many shadows are around you, sometimes even from areas you believe to be secure. People you used to stroll with might start to criticize the qualities I instilled in you. Some will make fun of it. Without knowing the price you paid, others will attempt to copy you. Don't give up, though. Misdirection is not indicated by resistance. It is the reverberation of advancement. Places where your voice hasn't even reached yet are taking note of you, and the accusations, the envy, and the abrupt change in conduct from those in your immediate vicinity, all of it is rooted in a single reality. What I put on you is visible to them. They feel it, even if they don't express it. The tension in the room as soon as you enter. When you speak clearly, their posture becomes uncomfortable. The subliminal evasion while discussing calling and purpose. Because spiritual authority cannot be concealed, they sense it. And I've made it public now that you've passed the last test threshold. You are entering arenas where every action will be observed, and every choice will be scrutinized. However, don't compromise for the comfort of others. For the oil, don't apologize. Don't lighten what you have to bear so heavily. Rather, walk wisely. I'll provide you discernment so you can know what to say and when. I'll tell you who is trustworthy and who just wants to cling on your fruit without ever getting into your soil. I'll teach you to construct with your hands while keeping your eyes alert. Because I don't associate success with praise. It entails responsibility, and accountability invariably draws opposition. However, I am at your side, and I am superior to any envious voice and any secret conspiracy. Thus, don't be afraid of their noise. Continue to walk in the truth because they will fail if their weapons materialize. They will merely demonstrate that everything I said over you is being carried out right in front of your eyes. You are losing, but it doesn't mean you're being attacked. Because you've previously prevailed in conflicts they were unaware of, you're under pressure. They're starting to realize that you're not going to back down. You're getting up. Go forth, my warrior. The resistance is evidence that you are becoming what they thought you would never be. Let me discover what few see, my child. The domain of darkness is trembling because of your silent perseverance. You did more than endure. Everything that hell threw at you, you fought back. And what does that mean, do you know? In the enemy's land, you have turned into a problem. It took more than a moment of faith for you to still raise your hands to me when everything fell apart around you. It was a wartime act. You destroyed the lies hell was banking on each time you chose to put your faith in me in the dark. You broke satanic assignments that were designed to keep you tied each time you refused to blaspheme me, and when suffering cried out louder than promises. You were meant to be paralyzed by betrayal, drowned by shame, and silenced by fear. You didn't back down, though. You got up. You got up, even if you had to crawl through the tears. And the fight is getting more intense because you rose. You're winning in a world that others cannot see, not because you're weak. The opponent is not frightened by your yelling. You're giving up. He anticipated your failure. He knew you wouldn't say anything. He anticipated that when things didn't go your way, your faith would crumble. However, everything changed when you continued to get up, stayed in the Word, and muttered my name under your breath. At that point, chains began to break in areas you hadn't even entered yet. The alarms in hell are going off now. The demons that were tasked with keeping you waiting are now in a panic since the time frame they relied on has passed. You're progressing more quickly than they expected. By speaking freedom into areas where quiet once prevailed, you're releasing generational repair and releasing spiritual bonds that were formed long before you were born. But pay close attention. This is when the real fight begins. It's because you're strong, not because you're weak. You are no longer considered a threat by the enemy. He perceives you as a danger, and there is always opposition to the threat. When spiritual agitation rises, don't be shocked. When resistance becomes more personal, don't freak out. You've entered an area where your presence alone causes disruption. This is the reason why old temptations are coming back. Old wounds are being prodded because of this. All of this is a last-ditch effort to divert your attention before you construct what I have given you. Your aim cannot be destroyed by the devil. He will therefore exert every effort to get you to give it up. He'll try to convince you that the conflict is a sign that you disobeyed my will, and that the fire is retribution. But keep in mind what I'm about to tell you. Resistance is not condemnation. It is confirmation. You're not doomed. You have been sanctified. You aren't falling behind. You're taking it back. It's not that you're weak that's being attacked. Because you are armed, you are being attacked. You haven't even entered the worlds that are threatened by what you carry. When you speak, the demons that used to laugh at you now shudder. They can identify your voice based on its weight rather than its volume. Your life has a spiritual signature from me that cannot be removed by man, muted by detractors, or negated by past transgressions. But you have to be on your guard. You have to act like someone who understands the price of the mantle they wear. You need to talk with accuracy, not arrogance. Avoid distractions and move with discipline, or for alignment rather than attention. Because I'm not calling you only to make it through the next conflict. I'm preparing you to conquer land that has been off limits for many centuries. Now is the time to begin regaining and to stop running away. At this point, you should cease doubting your authority and begin acting accordingly. Now is the time for the actual struggle, but you're not fighting it alone. I went before you did. I stand next to you and have covered behind you. Remain steadfast, my warrior. Hell will regret ever touching you after the following move. The days of secret refining are over, and you need to be ready for what's coming. The time for conspicuous testing has now arrived. Your obedience brought a stage, even if you didn't ask for it. Although you didn't seek attention, people were drawn to your perseverance. And now, in a setting where eyes are looking, where reactions are amplified, and where silence speaks louder than words, everything that was formed in quiet, the character, the discipline, the resilience, the depth, will be put to the test. Situations that appear oddly similar should not cause worry. However, the consequences feel more severe and the stakes feel higher now. It's exposure, not regression, in order to demonstrate the strength I've given you, rather than to embarrass you. I am letting what was once internal be challenged externally. You see, your moral character was developed in secret. In moments when no one watched, your trust grew. The situations where you had every reason to leave but stayed were the true test of your devotion. And I am bringing that loyalty into the light because you remain faithful in the dark. However, you won't be met with applause first. There will be opposition. There will be situations that challenge your self-control, individuals who try your patience, and institutions that challenge your values. However, the opponent is not to blame for this. My heavenly arrangement is this, because the victory that counts most is the one that is consistently demonstrated under duress, rather than the one that is yelled in celebration. I'm now placing you in situations that call for what you've developed in private. I had to isolate you for this reason. I shut doors before you were ready for this reason. Because you would have been crushed by the weight if you had entered this room unprepared. However, you now possess substance. They've anchored you. You don't have to use your mouth to defend your growth. Your fruit will do the talking. But you have to be aware of this. Elevation brings exposure. Now each response is a message. Now each step is a declaration. You are now a conduit via which my presence will be observable, not because I want you to perform. And the pressure surrounding you increases when I make a public move. You'll be aware of his peculiar miscommunications, unexpected gossip, and malignant intent. Avoid pursuing every viewpoint. Don't waste energy demonstrating yourself to people who aren't going to get it. Not everyone can understand what I am accomplishing through you. I'm supposed to finish it. Your task has moved into a new area where it requires obedience over reaction, clarity over comfort, and maturity over emotion. The adversary will attempt to incite you into conflicts that are not your place. Avoid falling for the trick. It's not necessary to battle every critic. You don't have to prevail in every dispute. You must remain in harmony because consistency will be your covering, and peace will be your proof where I place you. Each time you maintain your composure, you communicate more clearly than any shout that I, the Lord your God, have strengthened you beyond comprehension. You triumphed covertly, but now you will triumph in public. You are not being punished by the tests. It serves as evidence that what was sown in the ground has now taken root, and the upcoming winds will simply demonstrate how firmly you are rooted in me. Refrain from leaving the stage. Don't be afraid of the crowd. They can't take you out of it, and they didn't put you there. This is what I did. I've set aside this time, and I'll finish what I started. because everything that was previously private will now be revealed in public. Stand with your head up, not in pride, but rather with poise, alert, attentive, and perceptive. The next step is this. Boldly walk in it, my darling. The air surrounding you started to change the instant your spirit moved forward. You moved your place in the unseen, not because you made an announcement or altered your surroundings. A new level of influence over your life was opened when you survived the fire and remained in tune with my voice. And attention, from both the light and the dark, follows that authority. The weight of what you now carry in your spirit has been sensed, even though you may not feel any different on the outside. You've risen to a more important task, and more opposition follows that ascent. Your current struggle is different from what it was in the past. It is sharper, quieter, and deeper. Chaos isn't necessarily the result. Occasionally it poses as an opportunity. Warfare isn't always noisy. It's psychological, nuanced, and strategic. The opponent will target your focus because he knows he can't touch what I've sealed. He'll follow your beat because he is aware that distraction is the most effective weapon against someone who is in a new position. He will attempt to interfere with your sleep, your focus, and your posture. But pay attention to me. What is operating through you is stronger than what is coming against you. Your recent promotion is not a title, it's empowering. You've been given permission to enter strongholds and take down cycles, to express truth that disrupts environments, to bring tranquility that triumphs over uncertainty. Furthermore, the enemy's reaction to this is not arbitrary, it's acknowledgement. He is aware that you now possess extraterrestrial weaponry, and as your influence grows, his attacks will intensify. Where there was ease, you will begin to encounter resistance, not because you are doing something incorrectly, but rather because your presence has turned into a threat. Now, doors won't merely open for you when you walk through them. What has been concealed beneath them will be shaken. Because of this, some relationships will abruptly change. Why? Despite the obvious changes, some places will seem strange because heaven and hell now interact with you in a different way because of the weight you now carry. The crowd no longer includes you. You have a task to complete. You're not waiting for the move anymore. It's in your possession. But duty goes along with this mantle. You need to use your time wisely and speak clearly. Be deliberate in your movements. There are now repercussions for the carefree diversions that once kept you amused. What you formerly accepted as procrastination now becomes a burden. Every choice you make has an impact that extends beyond your immediate vision. Therefore, you cannot afford to make a poor judgment at this hour. And I am aware that this pressure is strange. The quiet is more oppressive. The attacks appear more incisive. It isn't because you aren't protected, though. It's because someone has trusted you. There is no punishment for you. You're gaining authority, and exposure leads to empowerment. I've created something in you that doesn't require concealment. Therefore, I'm no longer covering you in the same manner. Your name has become a weapon. You are now a witness to your tale. Additionally, every location you enter will react either agitatedly or in alignment. Don't back down, though. Avoid second-guessing yourself. I prepared you, which is why I elevated you. What only your voice can emit will be awaited in the chambers I put you in right now. Only your obedience will be able to alleviate the difficulties that the lives I send your way will bear. Indeed, the conflict will feel more intimate. The reason for this is that your purpose is stronger than it has ever been. The defense is not you. On the front lines are you, and I'm ahead of you. Thus walk with the assurance that heaven is supporting you at every turn. The job is divine, so the battle is fierce. You entered a new realm, and now you have to act as though you have been granted the power to break chains, change nations, and bring my presence where it has been sorely lacking. This goes beyond simple combat. This is proof that your assignment was completed. Continue as is. You have transformed along with the conflict. Don't let the tranquility you're experiencing fool you. The finish line isn't it? It is the interim period before the subsequent deployment. It's not the celebration of accomplishment that you're going through. It's the quiet before a new storm that will strengthen you rather than shatter you. I'm not only here to give you consolation for surviving, I'm here to get you ready for my next move. I am aware that your strength is worn out. Rest is what your heart desires, I know. But pay close attention. For a fighter, the instant following a triumph is more hazardous than the actual conflict. At that point, the adversary is hiding in the shadows, waiting for you to loosen up, let your guard down, and think that the most difficult portion is behind you. I must thus talk now in a direct, concise, and urgent manner. You cannot afford to know nothing. You've just stepped beyond a threshold. Moreover, thresholds are narrow areas. Spiritual conflict becomes more intense where heaven meets earth. Your calling grew as soon as your capacity did, and you've been marked in both areas by that expansion. I'm not merely praising you on your loyalty. You need to follow these directions if you want to survive and move further. Remain vigilant, not scared or worried, but spiritually aware. You will be surrounded by seemingly benign gestures that are actually riddled with subtle interference, talks that seem innocuous, yet include hints of misunderstanding, invitations that are tainted with compromise, but appear to be elevated. You must have more discernment than ever before. Since accuracy is now required, I am honing your spirit. Where I send you next is crucial. Comfort will be less expensive than hesitation. You must take action without second-guessing yourself, to act without seeking approval, and to comply when it is not natural. This isn't punishment, it's preparedness. Refinement, not rejection, is what this is. When the world calls for movement, I'm teaching you how to remain motionless, how to be quiet while everyone else expects to hear you, how to move silently forward with a force that trembles atmospheres. You are being raised to a level of influence that cannot be maintained by charm or emotion. It needs to be based on self-control, awareness, and steadfast adherence. I've been cutting off your circle because of this, pulling you away from the voices that fueled your insecurities and bringing you closer to my own. During this season, you cannot afford to rely on opinion. You have to walk in revelation. You have to be aware of what I said and hold on to it, even when others have easier-seeming alternatives. Be mindful of the subtle drift, the point at which the sacred becomes ordinary, when the sacred becomes commonplace. Purpose becomes diluted in this way. Furthermore, I didn't put you through the fire so you could resume your old habits. Anchored, calm, and unwavering focus are necessary for the next phases. You will no longer be able to follow the herd. The shallow spots have become too small for you. Only those trained in quiet can withstand the depths I'm leading you to. So, yes, celebrate the win. Don't unpack here, though. You're going through a change. You're getting ready for a place that will require all of your knowledge and more. The fight is changing. but you are too. And I'll accompany you into conversations that seem out of your grasp and into spaces that appear too huge. Because you were never intended to fit in, and I want to prove that to you. My voice was supposed to guide you as you took the lead. However, it begins with awareness, not popularity or physical prowess, but simply awareness of my presence, my words, and the dangers that lie ahead. And you will enter God's next move with such clarity that even pandemonium will kneel down at your feet if you remain alert, not just physically but spiritually as well. Be prepared. I'm not finished yet. Through you, I'm just getting started. Now you must realize this. The fight is changing. You are not broken by the opposition. He is therefore adjusting his approach to keep you from fully completing the task I have called you to. He is aware that he cannot undo what you have conquered. Your testimony cannot be undone by him. He is now aiming for the future. He no longer targets your history. He is pursuing your next moves, your concentration, and your momentum. He will attempt to persuade you to pause, to question, to postpone the very things that I have implanted inside you. Because, kid, you have a big mission. What I have given you is powerful. Ability to dispel gloom, change the patterns of generations, activate latent talents in others, and entice lost souls to return to me. Comfort was never your calling. It had to do with change, and that's his worst fear. Your obedience is about to start a movement, not just your prayers. Empty vessels are not the target of full-scale strikes by the enemy. You are not being punished by the pressure you are currently feeling. It is evidence of the value, danger, and spiritual power of what is within you. The distractions have increased as a result. That's why you feel suddenly exhausted just before you're about to act. That's why when you're finally going forward, doubts that you thought were buried begin to murmur anew. He will try everything in his power to prevent you from going into deployment, but he cannot change the fact that you passed the test. He is aware that you are on the verge of impact. He has no intention of erasing your past. He fears what is ahead for you. Thus, exercise wisdom. His meddling won't always appear malevolent. It can occasionally seem as prospects that aren't aligned, but nevertheless look tempting. Occasionally, it takes the form of flattery to get your attention or a false sense of urgency to refocus your priorities. However, I've taught you to distinguish between the two. You don't have to answer every question right now. You must stay rooted in what I have spoken thus far. Allow me to be the voice that directs your goals, relationships, and schedule. If I don't breathe on anything, don't stomp on it. You're getting into a place where squandered time can be used as a weapon, and where it can interfere with the plan I have for you. The enemy will attempt to divert your focus because of this. He wants you to expend all of your energy on tasks I never assigned you, and on conflicts that are not yours. To keep you from hearing, he will create noise. In order to sap your spiritual clarity, he will incite emotional turmoil. But listen, my plan hasn't altered at all. What I've spoken cannot be changed by anything he does. But you have to keep up, because the attacker will attempt to divert your attention if he is unable to beat you. Furthermore, your goal loses momentum if you are sidetracked for an extended period of time. He is after it, not your feelings or efficacy, and you can't let that happen. I had a purpose when I offered you information. I raised you in the fire so you would recognize my voice when opposing forces attempt to divert you. You have no future influence. It begins right now. Every step, every interaction, and every yes to me moves things along spiritually. Hell sees it, even if you don't. Things feel heavier because of this. You're a carrier, not simply a believer, which is why the environment feels strained all of a sudden. Something you're carrying can't afford to be dropped. Therefore, don't back down when interference increases. Refocus. Don't allow your nervousness to dictate your actions. Like a compass, let my tranquility guide you. You've finished the test, but the assignment is still ongoing, and I'm accompanying you into every uncharted area to fulfill what I promised via you, not to prove you. Let me take the lead. Let me talk and get moving. I say move because your mission is in progress and cannot be stopped without your consent. Don't allow the enemy to deceive you into giving up what I gave my life for. I need you to comprehend a challenging yet essential concept. I frequently have to remove your surroundings in order to uplift your spirits. There is more to this change you are going through than just clarity or strength. It's about pruning, too. People you assumed would join you in celebrating this next chapter are silent, embarrassed, and their tone has changed. Some no longer return your calls. Some will act as though they're too busy. Some people might even start to quietly criticize what I'm doing in your life. And I want to be honest with you. It's not because you made a mistaken modification. It's because you made the correct change. People who are accustomed to your previous constraints are uneasy when they see my hand in your life. Not everyone in your past cared about your advancement. Some were happy that you remained in survival mode because, in contrast, it made them feel safe. However, their comfort is disturbed now that you've entered a transformational phase. Their stagnation is highlighted by your advancement, and many will pull away rather than lean in. Avoid pursuing them. When spiritual resistance is there, do not plead for comprehension. This distance is acceptable to me. I'm using this agony to make visible what was previously invisible. The intentions, the jealousy, the covert rivalry, masquerading as camaraderie. You don't have to be sad about what I'm taking away. Rejection is not what this is. It's rerouting. I'm making room for what needs to happen next. Certain relationships were seasonal and only intended to accompany you up to a specific moment. Some were conditional, only remaining as long as you match their ideal of your former self. However, I've since broken that stereotype. Your scent is no longer the same. You no longer put up with what used to exhaust you. The air around you is changing as a result. Don't panic, though. Keep your composure in the face of their silence. Their absence should not be seen as an indication that you did something incorrectly. When I raise someone, this is what occurs. I change their circle to test their vision. I put their devotion to me to the test by letting go of some things that they really wanted to keep open. I would like you to recognize this as divine preservation. They would weaken your concentration if I let them remain. They would doubt what I have verified. Where I'm attempting to develop boldness, they would sow doubtful seeds. I'm making room then. It's not punishment, even though it could feel lonely. I'm attracting the proper folks to you with this preparation, those who understand your anointing, not those who just put up with you. People who respect your authority, yet are not scared by it. Voices that will speak up for you rather than compete with you. However, I must delete anything that is no longer useful for your assignment to make room for them. Have faith in me during this process. If you feel that Jesus Christ has brought light and hope into your life, then come join us on this sacred journey. Subscribe to the channel and experience His love, peace, and blessings every day. In Jesus' name, amen.